I was ecstatic to move into my college dorm. It was the first time I would be away from my small-town life, free to carve out a new chapter. I remember standing in the doorway of my assigned room, arms filled with boxes, when I met her, Sarah. She had auburn hair that framed her pale face and an easy smile. Her side of the room was already decorated with fairy lights and posters of indie bands I pretended to know. "Hey, you must be my new roommate," she said cheerily, offering her hand. I liked her instantly. The first few weeks went by without incident. We stayed up late chatting about everything, classes, crushes, and our plans for the future. Sarah was quirky, funny, and a little mysterious. She often stayed out late, never saying much about where she went. One night, as I studied for a midterm, I heard her rummaging through her desk. "Lost something?" I asked without looking up. "Yeah, my journal," she muttered, her tone oddly tense. I didn't think much of it at the time. Everyone has their quirks, right? A few days later, Sarah had class early, so I had the room to myself. I was searching for my charger when I accidentally knocked over a box under her bed. A small leather-bound notebook slid out. I shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity got the better of me. The entries started out normal. Random musings about her day, doodles in the margins, but as I flipped through, the tone shifted. "She doesn't know how beautiful she is. How perfect. If she knew how much I watch her, she'd probably hate me." My stomach churned. I want to tell her how I feel, but I'm scared she'll leave me. I can't let that happen. I slammed the book shut, my hands shaking. Was she writing about me? That night, I couldn't look Sarah in the eye. Every word she said felt like a trap. The whispers started a week later. At first, I thought it was my imagination, soft murmurs in the dark as I tried to sleep. But as the nights went on, they grew louder. One night, I finally worked up the courage to sit up and look. Sarah was sitting cross-legged on her bed, staring at me. "Sarah," I whispered. She didn't respond. "Are you okay?" Her head tilted slightly like a curious dog. Then she lay down and turned away, as if nothing had happened. The next morning, she acted like her usual self, laughing about a funny video she'd found online. I didn't bring up the night before. Things only got worse. I began to notice small items disappearing. My favorite bracelet, a photo of me with my family. One day, I found the bracelet on Sarah's desk. "Oh, I found it on the floor," she said casually when I asked. Then there was the night I woke up to find her standing over me. I gasped, sitting up so fast my head spun. "Sarah, what the hell are you doing?" "I couldn't sleep," she said, her voice flat. "Go to bed," I snapped, my heart pounding. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I had started locking the door to our dorm whenever I went out, desperate for some sense of control. One evening, I returned to find the lock broken and the room in disarray. My clothes were strewn across the floor, my laptop smashed. Sarah sat on her bed, calmly flipping through her journal. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I yelled. She looked up, her expression serene. "You didn't lock me out on purpose, did you? That would be rude. You're insane." Her smile widened. "No, I just love you." I grabbed my phone to call campus security, but she lunged at me, knocking it from my hand. "You're not leaving me," she hissed, pinning me down. Her strength was shocking. I screamed, thrashing beneath her. A neighbor must have heard, because minutes later, the RA and 2 security officers burst in. Sarah didn't resist as they pulled her off me, her face eerily calm. Sarah was removed from campus, and I was assigned a new room. I later learned she had a history of mental health issues and had been unmedicated for months. The school tried to keep everything quiet, but rumors spread. For weeks, I jumped at every sound, expecting her to return. Even now, I check under my bed before I sleep, haunted by her whispered words. "You're not leaving me." Time passed, but the fear didn't fade. Even though Sarah was gone, her presence seemed to linger. I found myself replaying everything she'd said, trying to piece together how I had missed the signs. My new roommate, Claire, was sweet and understanding. She had heard the rumors but didn't pry. Still, I couldn't fully trust her, or anyone. Every time I woke in the night, I half expected to see Sarah's silhouette standing over me again. One evening, as I was unpacking a box I hadn't touched since moving, I found something that stopped me cold, my old notebook. I didn't even realize it was missing. Flipping through it, I saw notes and sketches that weren't mine. Some pages had been torn out, others were defaced with drawings of angry eyes and scrawled words, "Mine, mine, mine." Had Sarah taken this? Had she been writing in it? I shoved the notebook into the back of my closet, heart racing. The first email came 3 weeks after Sarah was removed. It was from an address I didn't recognize, with no subject line. The body of the email was blank, but attached was a photo. It was of me. I recognized the outfit. I had worn it that morning. My hands shook as I closed my laptop. Who had taken that photo? I reported it to campus security, but they assured me it was probably just a prank. They didn't seem to take it seriously. The emails kept coming. Sometimes it was just a blank message. Other times, it was a picture of me walking to class, eating in the dining hall, or studying in the library. I stopped going anywhere alone, constantly checking over my shoulder. Claire noticed my growing paranoia, but what could I tell her? One night, as I walked back to my dorm after a late study session, I had the eerie feeling of being watched. The campus was unusually quiet, the streetlights casting long shadows across the empty pathway. I quickened my pace, clutching my backpack tightly. That's when I heard it. A soft, familiar whisper, "You're not leaving me." I spun around, but no one was there. I ran the rest of the way back to my dorm, locking the door behind me. My chest heaved as I leaned against the door, trying to calm my racing heart. That's when I saw it, a small piece of paper slipped under the door. "I miss you. Why won't you talk to me?" The handwriting was unmistakable. The next night, I stayed awake, clutching a small canister of pepper spray. I had contacted the police again, but without proof, they couldn't do much. Around 2 a.m., I heard the doorknob jiggle. My heart pounded as I watched the handle turn slowly. The lock held, but the sound didn't stop. "Sarah, I know it's you," I shouted, my voice trembling. "Leave me alone." The jiggling stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then came the whisper, "You're mine." I grabbed my phone and called the police, keeping my voice steady as I described what was happening. Minutes felt like hours as I waited, clutching the pepper spray. When the police arrived, they found no one outside. But taped to the hallway wall was another note. "You'll never be safe without me." After that night, the school allowed me to move off campus. Claire and I found an apartment together, and for a while, things seemed normal again. But Sarah was never far from my thoughts. Occasionally, I would see someone in a crowd with auburn hair and feel my stomach drop. A few months later, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sentence written in Sarah's unmistakable handwriting. "You can run, but you'll always be mine." I burned the letter, but I couldn't erase the words from my mind. Even now, years later, I check my locks obsessively and avoid giving out too much information online. Because some part of me knows she's still out there, waiting for the perfect moment to come back. And when she does, I'll be ready. Years passed. I graduated college, moved to a different city, and started a new job. Life slowly began to feel normal again, though Sarah's shadow never truly left me. I stayed hypervigilant, constantly checking my surroundings and trusting no one. Therapy helped, though it wasn't easy. My therapist encouraged me to confront the trauma directly rather than live in fear. She suggested I write everything down, documenting my experience to help process it. Reliving those memories was excruciating, but it gave me a sense of control. For the first time, I felt like I was reclaiming my story. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when I received another letter. I hadn't received anything like this in years, and the sight of my name scrawled in familiar handwriting made my hands tremble. I opened it, half expecting the same ominous message, but instead it was different. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to belong. I won't bother you anymore." No signature, but I didn't need one. It was Sarah. I wanted to believe it was over, that this was her way of letting go. But something about it felt wrong. Could she really have changed? Or was this another game? I saved the letter, but I didn't respond. Months passed without any further contact. Slowly, I let myself believe that Sarah was gone for good. One day, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Reluctantly, I answered. "Is this your name?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes," I replied cautiously. "This is Detective Monroe. I wanted to inform you that Sarah Parker was found deceased in her apartment last week." I froze, the phone slipping slightly in my hand. "Her death appears to be self-inflicted. We found a stack of letters addressed to you, but they were never sent. Would you like us to send them to you?" My stomach churned. "No," I said firmly. "I don't want them." The detective paused, then agreed. "Understood. If you ever need to talk, feel free to reach out." I hung up and sat in silence for a long time. Sarah was gone. Relief and guilt washed over me in waves. Despite everything, a part of me felt sorry for her. She had been deeply troubled, isolated, and desperate for connection. but she had also hurt me in ways I was still healing from. That night, I lit a candle and sat on my balcony, staring at the stars. I whispered a quiet goodbye, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. For the first time in years, I felt lighter. Sarah no longer had power over me. Her chapter in my life was finally closed. Now I could truly move forward,